Listen carefully, because the next few minutes can change the trajectory of your entire life. We all think we're waiting for a perfect moment, but the truth is the moment is waiting for you. Today I'm sharing 6 truths, not theories, not cliches, truths that shape champions. You know what stops most people before they even begin? The belief that they must first be chosen. Chosen by a company, chosen by a person, chosen by an audience, chosen by society. We wait, sometimes for years, hoping someone will grant us permission to step into our own brilliance. And in that waiting, life passes, opportunities dissolve, dreams dry out, we become spectators to our own potential. But here is the truth people avoid because it's uncomfortable. No one is coming to give you the green light. No one is obligated to validate your voice. The moment you understand this, not just intellectually but instinctively, you stop hesitating and start becoming. Because choosing yourself isn't arrogance, it's responsibility. If you don't believe in your worth first, why should anyone else? When you choose yourself, you ignite something powerful. A commitment to create your own path even when the world hasn't acknowledged you yet. And that act alone sets you apart from the majority who spend their lives waiting to be discovered instead of deciding to rise. Most people underestimate how deeply conditioning influences this tendency to wait. From childhood, we're trained to seek approval, gold stars, grades, applause. Every step is measured by someone else's standard. We learn to feel worthy only when others say we are. It's subtle but devastating. That dependency follows us into adulthood. Maybe you recognize it in yourself. You have ideas, but you don't speak up until someone asks. You have dreams, but you don't act until someone encourages. You have talent, but you hide it until someone notices. Waiting becomes a habit, passing time disguised as patience. And yet, beneath that conditioning lies an instinct, a knowing that you are meant for more. But instincts die in silence. They need movement to survive. The moment you choose yourself, that instinct wakes up. It remembers your strength, it remembers your capability. It remembers that your power was never meant to be outsourced to anyone else. Choosing yourself requires courage, not loud, dramatic courage, but daily, disciplined courage. Courage to take the first step when no one is clapping. Courage to show up consistently when no one is watching. Courage to trust your voice when doubt screams louder than belief. Choosing yourself means you may walk alone for a while. It means you might face rejection, mockery, misunderstanding. It means you might lose people who were comfortable with your smallness. But the alternate path, the path of waiting, shrinking, silencing, costs far more. Choosing yourself gives you ownership of your destiny. Waiting hands that power to circumstances. And nothing extraordinary was ever accomplished by someone who waited politely for permission. Greatness demands audacity. Even if your hands shake and your voice trembles, stepping forward anyway is the declaration that says, I refuse to be invisible in my own life. Some will argue, but I'm not ready yet. And that statement is the strongest evidence that they must choose themselves immediately. Because readiness is a myth. No athlete feels ready before the first competition. No entrepreneur feels ready before their first product. No creator feels ready before they share their work. Readiness doesn't precede action, action creates readiness. Choosing yourself isn't about knowing everything or guaranteeing success. It's about being willing to begin despite uncertainty. The irony is the world tends to notice you after you choose yourself. People feel the conviction behind your decisions. Momentum attracts attention. But until you take that first step, no one sees you because you haven't seen yourself. When you declare your own value inwardly, the world reflects it outwardly, not before. There will also be people who accuse you of being selfish. They'll say you're too ambitious, too confident, too focused. and that's because they've been trained to prioritize being liked over being fulfilled. Choosing yourself disrupts expectations. It challenges silent agreements that keep people small. Understand this: choosing yourself doesn't mean ignoring others. It means refusing to abandon your potential to accommodate their comfort. You can still love deeply, care deeply, support deeply, but not at the expense of your purpose. When you honor your calling, you give others permission to honor theirs. Your decision becomes a mirror showing them the power they've postponed. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's the most responsible act of self-respect. It sets a standard. It signals that your time, your talent, your dreams are not negotiable accessories, they are priorities. Eventually, you realize something transformative. The world doesn't choose leaders first. It recognizes them after they've chosen themselves. Every breakthrough, personal, professional, spiritual, starts with a private decision. A moment where no one applauds, no spotlight shines, no guarantee exists. Just a quiet conviction that whispers, "I'm meant for more." And when you honor that voice, the world responds in ways you can't predict. Opportunities align, people show up, doors open that remained locked when you were waiting for permission. Not because the universe suddenly changed, but because you did. You shifted from passivity to agency, from hope to decision, from waiting to becoming. That shift is magnetic. So if you're listening, sitting on an idea, a dream, a vision you've convinced yourself isn't possible yet, understand this: no one will ever hand you your moment. You have to claim it. And when you do, people will wonder how you suddenly became confident, when the truth is, you simply stopped asking for consent to exist. Choose yourself. That decision is the spark that transforms potential into power. We live in a world obsessed with perfection. Carefully curated images, spotless resumes, flawless success stories told in highlight reels and edited timelines. Somewhere along the way, we learn to hide our wounds. We bury our heartbreaks, our failures, our mistakes, because we fear they make us undesirable, unworthy of admiration, opportunity, love. But the irony is bitter. The very experiences we try hardest to erase are the ones that shaped our resilience. Every scar is proof that you survived what was meant to break you. It is evidence of endurance, of strength earned through struggle. Pretending your life has been effortless isn't inspiring. It's empty. Your scars are your story. They are the chapters people need to hear. Because when you speak from pain transformed into power, others see possibility where they once saw only despair. Your vulnerability becomes a bridge. It invites someone else to believe that healing and greatness can coexist. Pretending you've never fallen doesn't elevate you, sharing how you rose does. You see, pain rewrites you. It forces you to discover dimensions of yourself you never knew existed. When life shatters your expectations, when betrayal wounds you, when failure crushes what you believed was your dream, there is a moment of death, not literal death, but the death of an identity, an illusion, an attachment. And from that moment you have a choice. Let the pain define you or let it redefine you. Some people allow pain to cage them. They relive their trauma on loop, waiting for closure that never comes. They cling to resentment, allowing bitterness to corrode their potential. But others, those who rise, they use pain as fuel. They ask, what is this teaching me? What can I build from this? Who can I become because of this? Transformation never happens in comfort. Growth requires friction, disappointment, heartbreak. The strength that emerges is real, not rehearsed. And once you've walked through fire, the flames no longer intimidate you. You stop feeling loss because you've lost before. You stop fearing uncertainty because you survived it. Scars don't make you fragile, they make you fearless. Every powerful story throughout history shares the same arc: adversity, struggle, rebirth. The character isn't compelling because they lived a perfect life. They are compelling because they confronted suffering and chose transformation instead of surrender. This isn't a coincidence, it's a universal pattern. Humans connect through struggle, not perfection. When you hide your scars, you disconnect from the people who need your story. Think about the people who've inspired you most. Were they flawless? Or did they reveal their pain openly, proving that triumph isn't about avoiding suffering but transcending it? When we pretend we've never been broken, we rob others of the hope that they too can rise from their darkness. Maybe the chapters of your story you avoid acknowledging are the very ones someone else is praying to hear. Maybe your healing can become someone else's roadmap. But first, you must stop apologizing for your wounds. They are not shame, they are wisdom encoded in experience. There comes a point where you realize that scars aren't signs of weakness, they are symbols of survival. They mark the battles you endured, the choices you made when giving up seemed easier, the resilience built through silent nights of doubt and despair. You carry lessons that cannot be bought, only earned. When you share your scars, not as excuses but as testimony, you reclaim your narrative. You stop being defined by what happened to you and start defining yourself by how you responded. And make no mistake, how you respond is the most powerful instrument of transformation you possess. Pain doesn't automatically produce strength. Pain produces choices. Many people bury their wounds, numbing themselves into average lives. But those who rise choose meaning. They alchemize suffering into purpose. They turn their story into a mission. They speak not to impress, but to impact. They lead not from superiority, but from experience. Your credibility is not built by perfection. It's built by overcoming. Yet embracing your scars doesn't mean romanticizing struggle or pretending trauma was necessary or good. Pain is real. Loss is unfair. Betrayal wounds deeply. Healing isn't linear, and resilience isn't automatic. Acknowledging that truth is part of what makes scars powerful symbols. When you accept that you were hurt, that you broke, that you struggled, and you still continued, that is where strength is born. Too many people believe that acknowledging pain makes them weak. So they suppress, minimize, detach. But emotion unacknowledged becomes a prison. Freedom begins when you tell your story honestly. When you give voice to the experiences that shaped you, not to dwell, but to reclaim your agency. To declare, I'm not defined by what happened to me, I'm defined by who I became because of it. Healing requires courage far greater than denial. Anyone can pretend, few can face themselves with honesty, and those who do unlock a power that cannot be taken away. So when you think of your scars, the trauma, the mistakes, the failures, the disappointments, don't rush to cover them. Stand with them, own them. Understand that they are the parts of your story that give you authority to speak, to lead, to inspire. They are the proof that your strength is real, not hypothetical. They are the foundation of empathy, resilience, purpose. The world doesn't need another perfect success story. It needs people who've walked through darkness and emerged with compassion and conviction. Your scars are not obstacles to your future. They are evidence you are prepared for it. Someone, somewhere, needs the strength you gained from what tried to destroy you. Someone needs to see that scars can be beautiful. Someone needs to hear your story so they can find the courage to rewrite theirs. Your scars are not the end of your story. They are the beginning of your power. Discipline is the quiet force that separates who you are from who you could become. It sits in the mundane, overlooked moments when nobody is watching, when temptation whispers, when comfort calls, when excuses feel justified. Intention alone cannot transform you. Desire is not enough. Dreams without discipline dissolve. Every goal ever accomplished was achieved through consistent, often painful decisions made when motivation was absent. That's the reality most people avoid. The greatest obstacle between you and the life you want isn't lack of opportunity, it's lack of disciplined follow-through. People romanticize success yet reject the D. Is comfort required to build it? Discipline demands sacrifice. It requires you to choose long-term identity over short-term indulgence. And in that choice, repeated relentlessly, you reshape your character. You prove to yourself that you honor your commitments, and that proof becomes the foundation of unshakable confidence. The myth about discipline is that it requires superhuman strength. But discipline isn't dramatic or loud, it's in the small decisions compounded over time. It's waking up when you said you would, even when the bed feels warm and sleep offers seduction. It's sticking to the plan after the excitement fades. It's prioritizing your growth when distractions disguise themselves as obligations. The people who transform are not the ones with special talent or limitless resources. They are the ones who choose consistency over intensity. Anyone can aim high for a moment, but discipline is what keeps the aim steady long after the adrenaline disappears. That is what builds identity. Every repeated action casts a vote for the type of person you become. When you show up for yourself daily, you don't just build skills, you build belief. That belief changes your standards. And when your standards rise, your life follows. We often confuse intention with action. We mistake planning for progress. We feel productive imagining the future, but remain stagnant because imagining is easier than executing. Real growth begins the moment you stop negotiating with excuses. Discipline eliminates negotiation. It replaces emotion-driven decisions with identity-driven ones. You stop acting based on how you feel in the moment and start acting based on who you are becoming. This shift is everything. It rewires the relationship between effort and reward. Suddenly, discomfort becomes evidence of progress instead of something to escape. When you understand that resistance isn't a signal to stop, but a sign you're evolving, you break free from old patterns. Without discipline, even the strongest intention collapses at the first sign of difficulty. With discipline, even the smallest intention can compound into unstoppable momentum. There will be days when discipline feels impossible, days when burnout presses heavy, when doubt whispers toxic truths, when progress feels invisible. Those are the moments that define you. Because discipline isn't tested when everything feels aligned. It's tested when nothing does. When progress is slow and gratitude feels distant. When failure mocks you and others doubt you. Discipline asks whether your commitment survives discomfort. Anyone can act disciplined for a week, few sustain it for months or years. And yet, the separation between dreamers and achievers lies in one simple reality. Achievers persist through resistance. They fall but return, fail but recommit, struggle but stay consistent. Discipline is not perfection, it is perseverance. It is choosing better even after choosing poorly. Self-redemption through action. You may falter, but discipline demands you return. That return is what changes destiny. The beauty of discipline is that it frees you. Many think discipline restricts, but the opposite is true. Indiscipline traps you in cycles of regret and inconsistency. Lack of discipline forces you to rely on motivation, luck, or external validation. When you master discipline, you reclaim control of your narrative. You no longer depend on inspiration or perfect circumstances. You trust yourself because you have evidence, your actions reflect your intentions. Discipline builds integrity between who you say you are and how you actually live. That integrity liberates you from internal conflict. You stop questioning whether you can achieve your vision because you witness yourself becoming the kind of person who does. Anna. That alignment between intention, action, and identity is one of the most powerful states a human can reach. So understand this. Discipline is not a tool to achieve your goals. It is the identity that makes achievement inevitable. It's not something you occasionally perform. It's someone you become. Every act of discipline reshapes your internal narrative, strengthening the belief that you are capable, worthy, and in control of your transformation. When discipline becomes who you are, success stops being a possibility and becomes a consequence. It is the bridge between intention and identity, between potential and embodiment. Your consistency writes the story your dreams demand. Discipline is the decision to honor your future self again and again until the world recognizes the identity you already claimed. Failure is feared more than almost anything in our culture. We treat it like a stain that never washes off, a verdict on who we are. From childhood, we're rewarded for correctness, punished for mistakes, conditioned to equate failure with shame. So we grow up terrified to attempt anything where the outcome is uncertain. We protect ourselves through avoidance, disguising fear as practicality. We call our hesitation timing, strategy, responsibility, when really it's the terror of falling short. But here's the truth most people miss. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is woven into success like threads in fabric. No masterpiece exists without revisions. No dream materializes without setbacks. Failure is the admission price for greatness. If you want to win at a level most people never reach, you must be willing to lose at a level most people never risk. You must stop treating failure as an identity and start treating it as feedback. Every time you fail, you learn, not about the world, but about yourself, where you're resilient, where you're afraid, where you must grow. The discomfort of failure forces clarity. You discover what you truly want, because only dreams worth pursuing survive the pain of setbacks. Failure strips away ego and fantasy. It removes illusions about who you think you are and reveals who you actually are. And that revelation is invaluable. Failure teaches discipline when motivation is gone. It teaches patience when results don't arrive on your schedule. It teaches emotional resilience when self-doubt claws at your confidence. Most people never learn these lessons because they avoid situations where failure is possible. They choose safety over growth. They choose predictability over passion. But safety is the most dangerous place to live, because a life without risk is a life without evolution. When you choose comfort to avoid failure, you silently agree to abandon your potential. But when you choose pursuit, despite risk, you unlock capacities dormant within you. You discover strengths forged only when tested. We admire successful people yet sanitize their journeys. We celebrate the victory and erase the bruises. We rarely see the sleepless nights, the rejected proposals, the empty bank accounts, the heartbreak. We glamorize destinations and ignore the toll of the road that leads there. As a result, people misinterpret failure as a sign they're unqualified. They quit because they compare their beginning to someone else's visible finish. But the truth is simple. Everyone who accomplished something meaningful failed repeatedly. The difference is they didn't attach failure to self-worth. They recognized failure as a companion on the pursuit of greatness, not an enemy. When you normalize failure internally, you liberate yourself from external judgment. You stop performing for approval and start acting for growth. Every failure becomes data, neutral, informative, useful. That shift unlocks unstoppable determination because you no longer fear the fall. Failure is emotional not because of the outcome, but because of what we make it mean. When failure becomes personal, I failed, therefore I am a failure. Shame paralyzes us. That belief suffocates creativity. It prevents risk-taking and fuels perfectionism. But when you separate identity from outcome, failure becomes a tool. You can evaluate the process, improve the strategy, refine the skill without attacking your worth. Instead of spiraling into self-doubt, you anchor into self-trust. You understand the distinction. You are not your results, you are your resilience. Who you are is not determined by the fall, but by your willingness to rise again. When this mindset becomes internalized, you stop fearing embarrassment, rejection, judgment. You pursue boldly, you speak boldly, you attempt boldly, because the worst outcome is no longer catastrophic, it's simply the next lesson on your path. The truth is, failure hurts. It should. The pain is the friction that reshapes you. Avoiding pain prevents transformation. Failure breaks the version of you who wasn't ready for the success you're seeking. In that breaking, you gain humility, strategy, toughness, clarity. Failure reveals gaps in preparation. It exposes weaknesses disguised as strengths. And that revelation allows you to rebuild stronger. The pain is temporary, the wisdom is permanent. When you embrace failure willingly, you accelerate learning. You stop repeating cycles and start leveling up. Failure, when used correctly, compresses time. It teaches in one fall what comfort would take years to reveal. But this requires honesty. You must face the parts of yourself you prefer to ignore. You must analyze the patterns that sabotage you. You must hold yourself accountable without weaponizing shame. Growth requires self-compassion paired with discipline. So redefine failure. It is not the end of the road, but the toll booth that grants access to the next level. Every dream tests your commitment by demanding payment in setbacks, disappointments, and falls. Most people stop at the toll booth, turn around, and call it fate. Champions pay the price. They understand that the ticket to success is stamped through resilience. And resilience is earned only through failure faced repeatedly. So fail boldly, fail forward, fail with intention. Let each fall propel you into deeper self-awareness and sharper execution. Refuse to let fear dictate your decisions, because failure is not evidence you're on the wrong path. Often, it's proof you are finally challenging yourself enough to grow. Failure is not a verdict, it's the tuition you pay for the privilege of becoming unstoppable. Surrounding yourself with possibility means reshaping the environment that shapes you. Too often, people underestimate how much their circle influences their vision. We adopt beliefs, fears, and limitations from the voices around us long before we even evaluate whether they belong to us. When you hear people talk about what's realistic or what people like us can't do, those thoughts sink into your subconscious. You start adjusting your dreams to fit the comfort level of others rather than expanding your capabilities to match the size of your ambition. Permission-based living becomes normalized. You wait for encouragement, approval, consensus. And the tragedy is that waiting drains years from your life. Surrounding yourself with possibility requires unlearning that dependency. It demands you be intentional about your environment, the conversations you allow, the expectations you adopt, the energy you tolerate. If the dominant frequency around you is limitation, your dreams suffocate. Possibility breathes life into vision. And to access possibility, you must position yourself near people and spaces where belief is the baseline. It's uncomfortable to admit, but sometimes the people we love most anchor us to smallness unintentionally. Family, friends, co-workers, they want you safe, not stretched. They fear seeing you take risks because it forces them to confront the risks they never took. They discourage not because they lack love, but because they lack courage. Recognize that not everyone who cares for you is capable of supporting your growth. Sometimes loyalty traps us in environments we've outgrown. You remain surrounded by people who only know the old version of you. They expect consistency, not evolution. And if you seek their permission for transformation, you'll sabotage your potential to protect a comfort. Surrounding yourself with possibility means evaluating your circle, not with arrogance but with responsibility. Ask yourself, who challenges me to think bigger? Who holds me accountable to my purpose? Who inspires rather than drains? Who reflects the future I'm building instead of the past I'm leaving behind? Your environment is not neutral. It either accelerates or suffocates your evolution. We often underestimate the subtle impact of energy. You can have talent, ambition, discipline, but if you spend too much time in conversations rooted in complaining, comparison, cynicism, or fear, those beliefs seep into your subconscious. Energy spreads silently. If you surround yourself with permission seekers, people waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect sign, the perfect opportunity, eventually you start waiting too. You adopt hesitation disguised as caution. Possibility-minded people operate differently. They ask, how could this work? Not why might this fail? They see potential in the unknown rather than danger. They take initiative instead of waiting for validation. When you immerse yourself in these environments, your thinking elevates. You begin designing solutions, building opportunities, and developing resilience. Surrounding yourself with possibility doesn't just change your network, it changes your identity. You start embodying what you witness. Human beings imitate belief systems unconsciously. Proximity influences destiny. Toxic permission culture dominates workplaces, social systems, and even family traditions. We internalize expectations, take the safe job, choose the predictable path, don't dream too loudly, don't stand out. But possibility demands bravery. It challenges norms. It asks you to question inherited beliefs and break patterns passed down generations. Many people stay stuck because they fear disappointing others more than they fear betraying themselves. But permission-based living ensures regret. You cannot fulfill your potential while conforming to expectations built for someone else's comfort. Your dreams will always exceed the capacity of those threatened by change. Remember, if someone has never built what you want to build, their permission has no value. Surrounding yourself with possibility means seeking mentorship from people who have walked paths you aspire to travel. Not yes people, but vision holders. People who remind you that your dreams are but also demand aligned action. People whose lives prove what is possible. Their presence dismantles limitations you didn't realize were optional. The journey toward possibility often demands separation, not from people entirely, but from the versions of them who cannot grow with you. Sometimes you must walk alone temporarily to elevate your environment permanently. That isn't betrayal, it's evolution. You create space for new connections, aligned collaborations, and purpose-driven relationships. Recognize that the first phase of surrounding yourself with possibility is internal. You must first stop granting permission to your fears. Stop negotiating with insecurity. Stop dimming your ambition for acceptance. You don't need permission to dream audaciously, to succeed unapologetically, to live expansively. When you adopt this internal permission, external permission becomes irrelevant. And when you cultivate belief internally, your identity shifts. You no longer conform to environments that limit you. You naturally gravitate toward environments that elevate you. That shift is powerful. It signals readiness for possibility to meet you halfway. Surrounding yourself with possibility doesn't mean abandoning humility or ignoring risk. It means aligning with people and environments grounded in growth rather than fear. Success rarely emerges in isolation. Even self-made stories are collaborative beneath the surface. Someone believed, someone supported, someone challenged, someone opened a door. Surrounding yourself with possibility multiplies opportunities, accelerates development, expands perspective. It doesn't guarantee success, but it guarantees evolution. And evolution is the prerequisite for achievement. When you stop waiting for permission and start surrounding yourself with possibility, you reclaim power over your choices. You silence limiting voices and amplify the voice of purpose. You normalize ambition. You embrace risk as the cost of becoming. And in doing so, you rise, not alone, but in alignment with a tribe of people who see possibility where others see limits. The moment you stop seeking permission and surround yourself with possibility, you trade hesitation for momentum and step boldly into the future only you were born to build. Your dreams demand urgency, not pressure, urgency. There is a difference. Pressure suffocates, urgency awakens. Urgency is the awareness that time is not infinite, that moments don't repeat themselves, that destiny doesn't wait for better circumstances or perfect plans. Most people sabotage their potential not because they lack ability, but because they convince themselves there's more time. One day, when things settle, when I'm ready. These phrases become lifelong excuses. Months turn into years. The opportunity that once lit their spirit becomes a memory of what could have been. We talk about dreams as though they're delicate treasures to be protected until the universe gives a sign. But dreams are living demands. They require breath, action, momentum. The longer you wait, the heavier they become. Not because they lose value, but because your fear grows stronger. When you delay, self-doubt sharpens. Your ambition dims beneath the weight of hesitation. Urgency keeps the fire alive. It reminds you that the cost of waiting is far greater than the cost of trying and failing. Every single day you delay, someone else moves. Someone with less experience, less talent, fewer resources, but more urgency. They take the risk you keep debating. They send the email you keep drafting. They pitch the idea you keep polishing. And slowly the gap between potential and reality widens. Then one day you see someone living the life you wanted, pursuing the dream you once whispered to yourself, and you call it luck. But deep down you know the truth. It was urgency. Too many attempt to outthink fear instead of outrunning inertia. You cannot strategize your way out of procrastination. Action, not perfection, is the antidote. Stop assuming there will always be another chance. Opportunities disappear quietly. The window doesn't slam shut, it simply narrows until you can no longer fit through it. Urgency isn't recklessness, it's respect. Respect for your life, your calling, your future. Respect that recognizes time as finite and purpose as precious. Waiting for the right moment is the most seductive lie ambition will ever hear. There is no right moment, only the moment you choose. Dreams don't arrive at your doorstep with ideal conditions. They show up disguised in difficulty, uncertainty, inconvenience. And that's intentional. Because the act of beginning when circumstances are imperfect builds resilience. It tests your commitment. Urgency isn't blind impulse, it's informed faith. It's looking at the unknown and choosing to step anyway. Most people wait for clarity before they move, not realizing clarity is created through movement. You learn by doing. You improve through momentum. You refine through repetition. Waiting doesn't develop skill, action does. Waiting doesn't build confidence, experience does. Waiting doesn't bring opportunities, courage does. The longer you hesitate, the more power fear gains. Urgency interrupts fear before it matures into regret. There is a deep psychological trap in postponing purpose. When you delay action, You build a narrative around delay. I'm not ready yet. I don't have the resources. I need more preparation. That story becomes familiar, then comfortable, then identity. Suddenly you're loyal not to your dreams, but to your excuses. Urgency disrupts that loyalty. It demands that you break the cycle of self-betrayal. Because every time you delay what you know you're called to do, you strengthen the belief that you are incapable of doing it. Procrastination isn't laziness. It's fear dressed as logic. You cannot think your way into confidence. You must act your way into it. Urgency shifts your relationship with time. You no longer view it as something granted to you indefinitely, but as currency you spend intentionally. Every hour invested in your dream multiplies possibilities. Every hour wasted compounds regret. Dreams demand urgency because potential has an expiration date. Not because purpose disappears, but because people do. You won't always have the same energy, the same opportunities, the same environment, the same inner fire. Seasons change, priorities shift, responsibilities expand. What feels difficult today may be impossible tomorrow if you wait too long. Life moves, and while we often believe circumstances hold us back, more often than not, hesitation is the barrier. Urgency acknowledges uncertainty yet proceeds anyway. It refuses to let perfectionism become paralysis. It recognizes that messy action beats immaculate intention. Urgency means beginning before you know how the story ends. It means risking discomfort for alignment. It means honoring the whisper before it becomes a scream. And when you act with urgency, you magnetize momentum, doors open, ideas unfold, support appears because the universe responds to motion. So stop rescheduling your greatness. Stop negotiating with your own potential. Stop waiting for approval, clarity, or guarantees. You are not promised unlimited chances to rewrite your future. Your dreams require immediacy, not because time is running out, but because your purpose is calling now. If you continue postponing your life, you will eventually wake up surrounded by unfinished intentions and silent regrets. But if you choose urgency, if you take one step then another, your life expands in ways you can't predict. You shift from wishing to becoming. You turn potential into identity. You claim the destiny, waiting for decisive action. The future belongs to those who act now, because urgency is the heartbeat of greatness.